Remember when home sounded alive? The hum of the sewing machine, the ding of a toaster, the soft clatter of a percolator on the counter. Every corner had a purpose, every gadget a story. These weren't just appliances, they were family members in their own quiet way. They warmed our meals, cleaned our clothes, and sometimes taught us patience. But somewhere along the way, as technology raced ahead, they quietly faded from our homes. Today, we're dusting off the memories and turning back the clock, because these are 10 forgotten appliances that once lived in every home. 1. The percolator, coffee's gentle song. Before the beep of modern coffee makers, mornings began with a percolating rhythm. That steady bubbling on the stovetop filled the air with a promise. Coffee was coming. Invented in the 1800s, percolators became a kitchen staple by the 1950s. Families would gather in the kitchen, the smell of fresh brew mixing with the sound of bacon on the skillet. It wasn't just caffeine, it was comfort. Each drip rose through the glass knob, cycling again and again, until the aroma said, "It's ready." But as electric drip machines arrived, the old percolator lost its place. People wanted faster, easier, cleaner, not realizing they were trading taste for convenience. Today, the percolator lives on in antique shops and campers' packs. And sometimes when you hear water bubbling on the stove, it's hard not to think of that warm morning hum that once filled every home. 2. The wringer washer. Laundry days muscle before front loaders and spin cycles. Laundry day was a true workout. The wringer washer stood tall in basements and porches, churning away with a rhythmic whir. You'd wash the clothes in the tub, then feed each piece through 2 heavy rollers. Water would squeeze out like a small waterfall, splashing into a waiting bucket. For many families in the early 1900s, it was a modern miracle. It cut washing time in half, even if you still ended up soaked by the end. Mothers often warned kids to keep your fingers clear of the wringer, and every family had that one story about someone who didn't. By the 1950s, automatic washers took over, turning effort into ease. But for generations, the wringer washer represented progress and hard work. A true symbol of how families once labored, laughed, and lived together. 3. The icebox, cooling without power. Before the hum of a refrigerator, there was the cool silence of the icebox. A wooden cabinet lined with tin or zinc, holding a large block of ice. The iceman would deliver fresh blocks every few days, lugging them up porches and into kitchens. It was part of daily life, a rhythm we've long forgotten. Milk bottles, meat, and butter sat neatly inside, kept cool by melting ice. Families learned to ration space and timing, too late, and dinner spoiled. By the 1930s, electric refrigerators started to appear, shiny and futuristic. Soon the iceman's knock vanished, replaced by the steady buzz of machinery. But for decades, the icebox was a symbol of ingenuity, keeping food fresh without a single wire. Some still remember that cold, clean scent when you lifted the lid, a tiny moment of relief on a hot summer day. 4. The rotary telephone, the sound of connection. It sat on kitchen counters, hallway tables, and bedroom nightstands. The rotary telephone, heavy, solid, and somehow full of heart. Every call began with the soft spin of a dial and the click, click, click as it returned home. You didn't scroll or tap. You waited. Conversations were slower then, but maybe a little more thoughtful. In the 1940s and 50s, it was the center of the household, connecting families, friends, and first loves. People memorized numbers, cherished voices, and said things they couldn't text. But when push buttons came along in the 60s and later cell phones, the rotary's time ended. Still, that click of the dial remains one of the most satisfying sounds of the 20th century. A reminder that connection once required a little patience and a lot of presence. 5. The record player console, music in the furniture. Imagine a time when music didn't come from a phone, but from a piece of furniture. Record player consoles were more than machines. They were showpieces, polished wood, gold trim, and speakers built right in. Families gathered around to listen to Sinatra, Presley, or the Supremes. Each vinyl crackle felt alive, like the music was breathing in the room. By the 1960s, almost every living room had one. They were heavy, elegant, and treated with care. But as technology shrank and music went portable, the console faded away. Cassette decks, CDs, then streaming, each step smaller, colder, quicker. Still, for those who remember, the console's deep sound and warm wood remind us of evenings that ended in harmony. 6. The wall-mounted can opener, small but mighty. Every kitchen once had one, that shiny chrome can opener bolted to the wall. It was simple, strong, and always ready. Just hook, crank, and pop. No batteries, no charging, no fuss. In the 1950s and 60s, canned goods were booming, and this little gadget made life easier. It opened soup, fruit, and vegetables, dinner in a twist of the wrist. Kids loved the satisfying click when the lid came loose. But as handheld openers became cheaper and cabinets more stylish, the wall-mounted version vanished. No one wanted a permanent mark on their kitchen tile anymore. Today, you might spot one in a vintage diner or your grandmother's pantry. A tiny piece of chrome that still whispers, "Let's make dinner." 7. The ironing mangle. Smooth operator. Before steam irons ruled the laundry room, there was the mangle. 2 rollers, a hand crank, and a whole lot of muscle. It pressed sheets and shirts with factory-level precision, right in your home. In the early 1900s, having a mangle meant efficiency and pride. People used them to earn extra income, ironing for neighbors or local shops. But the work was tough, hot, and often dangerous. You had to stay focused or risk catching a sleeve, or worse. By mid-century, electric irons took over, making the mangle a relic. Still, those who grew up with one remember the rhythm of it. Roll, fold, repeat. It turned laundry into a kind of dance, set to the hum of home life. 8. The TV antenna, ears on the roof. Before streaming, before cable, there was the rooftop antenna. Long metal arms reaching into the sky, searching for signals from miles away. Families adjusted them endlessly, hoping to clear the static from their favorite show. Dad might climb the roof while Mom shouted, "A little to the left," from the living room. It was teamwork, frustration, and fun, all rolled into one. When the picture finally cleared, cheers filled the room. The antenna became a symbol of early television magic. But as cable and satellites arrived, the need for those rooftop rabbit ears disappeared. Still, spotting one today feels like seeing a ghost of simpler times, when the whole family tuned in together, and missing a show meant waiting a full week. 9. The electric knife, the holiday hero. When Thanksgiving came around, the electric knife came out. Sleek, buzzing, and futuristic, it could slice a turkey like butter. Invented in the 1960s, it became the must-have gift for every modern home. It promised ease, precision, and a little bit of flair. The sound of it, that mechanical hum, meant dinner was moments away. But over time, people realized a regular knife worked just fine. Electric knives became bulky, hard to clean, and often left unused until the next holiday. Still, there's something unforgettable about watching a dad in a plaid shirt carve a roast with one. It wasn't just about food, it was about tradition wrapped in technology. 10. The film projector, movie nights at home. Long before streaming and Blu-ray, movie nights were an event. Families pulled the curtain shut, loaded reels of film, and let the projector whir to life. The flicker on the wall wasn't perfect. It shimmered, jumped, and sometimes broke mid-scene. But that was part of the magic. You could hear the reel spinning, smell the warm film, and feel the room go quiet as light painted the wall. From home movies to rented reels, it brought Hollywood to the living room. By the 1980s, VHS tapes replaced film and the projectors gathered dust. Still, those who remember can't forget the glow of that little machine, how it made shadows come alive and families gather close. A time when stories didn't just play, they lived right there on the wall. Every hum, click, and crackle told a story about who we were and how we lived. These forgotten appliances weren't just tools. They were timekeepers of an era. They filled homes with rhythm, scent, and sound. And though they've faded from sight, their echoes still linger in our memories. So, which one do you remember from your childhood home? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because here at American Rewind, we're not just remembering the past, we're keeping it alive.